Hi everyone, let me introduce myself. My name is Budi Nugroho and I have student number for 29 to 2023 042 and I'm a BP student for page 23. Today I will present my works for making Cambridge student worksheet. For a measurement, I choose a heat and temperature. This worksheet as a requirement to fulfill the project of the instructional design for science courses. Let's start it. I have a title of experiment. The title of the experiment is a short and clear sentence that tell what your experience is about. I make an analogy for the perfect hot chocolate missions. It's for investigating temperature and measurement. And then the objective aim. Um, this is that I want to show to my student, want to present to my student, what did you want to find out? And then to find out which method human touch are a thermometer, it's more accurate and reliable for measuring temperature for a liquid. And then the material and the equipment, a list for the things the student will use from this experiment is a three breaker, labeled for A, B, and C, which the label breaker A is for a cold water, and then breaker B is a warm water, and the breaker C is a hot water. Also thermometer, and then pipette or small spoon, and then tissue or towel. And then student will make a prediction or a hypothesis. Uh, this is means for a student to write predictions. That sentence that I make for my student is my hypothesis was that using a blah 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 would be more accurate than using blah 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 to measure temperature. I thought it's because blah 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 blah. And then produce or method. Will make a student uh, doing something clearly and then write the steps, follow it for actions, word like a place, measurement, observe, and the record. And then the step is that I place it, one drop of water from a breaker A on my wrist and observe how it feels. Then I did the same for a breaker B and the breaker C carefully. Next, I measure the temperature from the water in each breaker using a thermometer. And then finally, I write down all my observations and measurement in the table. And then the number 6 is observation and the result. This thing I present my student the table that they have to fulfill the blank space in here and then show what you feel in your experiment. You can use a table and short sentence. This is show it the breaker A, B, and C, and then I have a qualitative data and also quantitative data. The qualitative data in here is about how it felt when student uh, put the drop water on their wrist, and then they have to explain in here what they felt about is a cold, warm, or hot, and then a qualitative data is a temperature in um, Celsius, and then student will use a thermometer to measure the temperature in Celsius, and they have to compare between the qualitative data, how it's felt in your and then in their wrist, and then in the thermometer, and then students have to write the results so that the results show what they predict about the hypothesis. The previous hypothesis will become more descriptive in here, and then they have to do a reflection or evaluation. Uh, for example, in here I make what did you learn, what surprised you, and what would change next time. Write your reflection. From this experiment, I learned about blah blah blah, and then I was surprised that blah blah blah, and the next time I will change into blah 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 blah. And then this is the example from the student worksheet. This is the perfect mission, how chocolate missions. In here, the cover, I have the name for my student, also the date that they do some observations. And then the title and objective is still the same. The title is the perfect hot chocolate missions, a scientific investigation of temperature. And then the learning objective in here, uh, planning objective or goals, and after investigation, I will be able to. And number one, I formulate a prediction about the reliability of human touch versus a thermometer. And also the second one is a practice skill of observation, a qualitative data, and also measurement for a quantitative. And then number three is interpret data from a table, draw and valid conclusions. And the number four is explain why objective. Numerical data is essential for specific accuracy. And then I have a story first before my student do some observations. This is the imaginations that imagine you work as a barista at the popular cafe. A customer has just written their hot chocolate complaining that the temperature is not right. Other baristas rely on felt to measure the temperature, but you want to use a scientific approach to create a consistent and perfect recipe. Every time your job is to conduct an investigation to determine the best way to maintain the temperature of the beverage and prove why the scientific method is superior to field. And then the next page, I have a method and tools. Student will need a three beaker labeled A, B, and C. The beaker A is a cool or room temperature water around 20 under 30 Celsius. And then the beaker B is a warm water, just right for drinking around 50 and 60 Celsius, prepared by the teacher. And then beaker C is a hot water, around 70 until 80 Celsius, prepared by the teacher also. And then don't touch without the help from the teacher. It will help student to follow the rule and obey the rule before they do some observations because they are still primary student. Also, one digital or laboratory thermometer, it can use the cheap one. The student or teacher can buy in the trunk store. Also, one small spoon or dropper or pipette to do some observations. Also, tissue if we need it. And then produce or steps in here. I have labeled the safety first. The water in a breaker B and a breaker C is hot. Do not drink or touch it directly. Always follow your teacher instruction carefully. It will make student obeying the rule that I make to them. And then step one is a prediction. Before you start, write the prediction. Why do you think it will be more accurate to find the just right a temperature for the drink filling with your hand or measuring with a thermometer. And then what do you think? So, and then write your answer below. And then my prediction in that blah 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 will be more accurate because blah 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 blah. So they have a prediction first. Which one is more accurate? It's a thermometer or the wrist. And then next page is a safety reminder again about do not touch or taste the water in the breaker. Always do this test with your teacher near you. If a drop feels too hot, your teacher at one. Tell your teacher at one. And then step two is a qualitative data observation, the barista filling test. Students have to use a pipette or a small spoon to take a one drop water from a breaker A. Carefully place it on the drop, the back of your wrist. Do not put the pipette tip into your mouth. And then notice how the drop feels and write your answer where to describe it. For example, it's a cold, warm, or hot. And then repeat it the same step for the breaker B and C. And always let the teacher help with the breaker B and C because they are warm or hot. And then step three is a quantitative measurement. This is a scientist test. The student have to place the thermometer carefully in the breaker A. Wait until a number on the thermometer stop changing. That means it's stable. And then write down the temperature in Celsius in the table below. Try the thermometer with a tissue before you use skin. And then repeat the same step for the breaker B and the breaker C. And then the next pages, we have an observation table. It's the same. like a breaker A, B, C, show it breaker A, B, and C, and then students have to write on the qualitative data how it feels by their putting water in their batteries. Also, the quantitative data in the temperature in Celsius, the student use thermometer to measure the heat. And then reminder, qualitative data means what you feel, for example, cold, warm, and hot. And then qualitative data means the number you read on the thermometer. So students have to write it in this table. And then question and reflections. I wrote for my student in the worksheet is what do you notice? Look at your data for breaker B and the breaker C. Was it easy to tell the differences in the temperature just by feelings, or compare your qualitative descriptive feeling with the quantitative number in Celsius? What do you notice? And then write your answers. Write your answer. So students have to answer. I noticed that blah 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 blah. The water is so cold. Then blah 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 blah. For example, and then what do you think this has happened? So I wrote to my student that why does thermometer give more detailed and reliable information than the skin? Explaining the differences between the objective measurement using tools and then subjective feeling using sense, the student sense. Also, uh, right answer also. I think that happened because blah blah blah. And student can make a reflection by their own. And then uh, last step is how could you test your idea? This make a student more thinking critically. So imagine a senior barista does not believe your thermometer and say that feeling test is better. And design the simple experiment to provide the thermometer give more consistent result. What do you do? Write your answer. That's my idea. I will do blah blah blah. So this is make a student to telling everyone that our sense or our feeling sometimes is not accurate and is not uh, reliable for testing something uh, temperature in our skin, like it's a cold, warm, or hot. So we have to use a technology to present or to look at the temperature more accurate. So how student to explain or student to give example to other. So this is make a student critically thinking how they will want to do in the future. So that's my presentations for the Cambridge student worksheet for the measurement and then heat and temperature. This is a psychist uh, subject, so student can make observations, student can make a project by this experiment. So my name is Budi, and I will say thank you to everyone after watching this. See you in the next project. Thank you.